Good morning, guys. My name is J.R. Wilson, and I'm the 5th/6th pastor at the West Campus. Shout out to my Westies. For those of you who don't know, this is our morning Devo, where this week we're looking at some of Jesus's appearances after his death, right? So when Jesus died and was crucified on the cross, he didn't just stay dead. We know that Jesus actually came and appeared to multiple different people, and we have accounts of that in the Bible. And so this week we're walking through some of those different encounters. And today we're going to be looking at Jesus's appearance to Peter, right? So if you have your Bibles, go ahead and turn to John chapter 21. We're going to be reading through that passage and focusing in on starting at verse 15. But just to give you guys a little bit of background on the passage, right? So the disciples, a lot of them are fishermen, and they're all together and they're fishing on the Sea of Galilee. And so it's after Jesus' death, they're fishing and they fished all night, and there's this guy from the shore, he says, "Hey, have y'all caught anything?" And they say, "No, we didn't catch anything all night." He says, "Well, how about this? Go ahead and throw your nets on the other side of the boat, see if you get something." And so they're like, all right. So they get their nets, they throw them on the other side of the boat, and their nets are just full of fish. There's so much fish in the nets, they can't even hardly pull them all in. And at that moment, they realize, hang on, y'all, that is Jesus. That's not just another dude sitting on the shore. That's Jesus. And so they all run back to the shore, and Jesus is there, and he's cooking them breakfast on the shore. And right in that moment, Jesus decides to get into this really unique conversation with Peter. So Jesus goes to Peter, says, "Peter, do you love me more than these?" And Peter says, "Well, yes, Lord." And then Jesus says, "All right, then tend to my sheep." And he asks him again, he says, "Peter, do you love me?" And Peter says, "Yes, Lord, I love you." And Jesus says, "All right, then shepherd my lambs." And then for a third time, Jesus comes up to Peter and he says, "Peter, do you love me?" And Peter says, "Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you." And so it's this really unique interaction, right? Where Jesus has this question, "Do you love me?" He asked it to Peter 3 times in front of all of his friends. And it's kind of a weird question. It's kind of a deep question, right? Anytime somebody asks you, "Do you love me?" that's a really vulnerable position. And so in order to understand that, we've got to think back a few chapters earlier to where Jesus and Peter had their last interaction. I don't know if you guys remember, but at the Passover, Jesus, before he was about to go to the cross, he said, "You know what? You guys are going to pass away. You guys are going to fall away from me tonight." And Peter stood up in front of all his friends. He said, "Jesus, I would never deny you. Not me, Lord. Maybe they would, but I wouldn't." And later on that evening, as Jesus was being, whipped and mocked and beaten, people in the crowd recognized Peter. They said, "Hey, we know you. You were with Jesus, right?" And Peter said, "No, I have no idea who this man is." And so in Jesus' biggest moment of need, Peter ended up denying him 3 times. Now, fast forward to our current conversation. Isn't it interesting that Jesus asks Peter whether or not he loves him 3 times? Not a mistake. Y'all, in this interaction, Peter has left Jesus high and dry, and this is the next time that they're around each other. He gives him a chance. Rather than being mad at Peter, rather than being angry or frustrated with Peter, Jesus comes to Peter on the Sea of Galilee. He makes him breakfast, and he gives him a chance to reinstate his love for Jesus. And I don't know about y'all, but when I think about this story, I'm Peter. We're all Peter. We're all in a situation where we've denied Jesus. Maybe we've directly disobeyed some of Jesus' commands. Maybe we've been unfaithful to our relationship with him. Maybe we have failed to love other people the way Jesus would have him love us. Whatever it is, we end up denying Jesus in crucial moments. And what I learned from this passage is that rather than looking at us with anger and frustration, we serve a God who looks at us with love and compassion and forgiveness. A God who comes to us, who meets us where we're at, and reinstates us wherever we are. And I hope that as you reflect on this word for the rest of your week, that's the picture of the God that you serve, someone who loves you, who cares for you, and who is running to you to forgive you no matter what. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.